send shockwaves through Genoa City. The young and the restless spoilers hint that Diane Jenkins Abbott, Susan Walters, may announce a huge decision about her future. Now that Diane is beginning therapy sessions with Dr. Lawrence Markham, Jerry Burns, this is her chance to make him think she sees everything his way. In YNR's June 23 episode, Dr. Markham tried to steer Diane in the direction of giving up on Jack Abbott, Peter Bergman, presumably on Patty Williams, Stacey Hayduke, orders since she's paying him. The doc urged Diane to revisit the pain of finding Jack with Patty on the yacht and suggested Jack might have been sending a message about wanting out of their marriage. Dr. Markham also hinted about Diane skipping forgiveness and moving on. Diane may soon start acting like Dr. Markham is right about needing a clean break. Perhaps Diane will pretend to have a big epiphany about putting Jack behind her and focusing on a future without him. Of course, Diane can make Dr. Markham believe he's helped her have this divorce breakthrough. In reality, Diane will just be telling Dr. Markham what he wants to hear in hopes that he might let her walk free. It's easy to imagine Dr. Markham growing quite fond of Diane or maybe even developing feelings for her. Dr. Markham will at least want to pat himself on the back about making Diane see things from his perspective. Patty and Dr. Markham could end up clashing over what to do with Diane once she says she's done with Jack forever. Dr. Markham may have total faith that Diane is finished with her husband, but Patty may think granting her freedom is too risky. If Patty ultimately wants to eliminate Diane instead, that news could escalate the conflict with Dr. Markham. Patty and Dr. Markham's crumbling alliance could lead to some curveballs, but Diane will keep doing everything she can to manipulate her way out of trouble. The young and the restless spoilers say Kyle Abbott, Michael Mealer, will also hope to carry out a Diane rescue mission. In my opinion, this episode changes how we see several key characters. Diane announces divorce to dupe Dr. Markham, says done with Jack? The sun had barely risen over Genoa City when a shocking rumor began spreading through the corridors of Jabot and the halls of the Genoa City Athletic Club. By noon, everyone was talking about the same thing. Diane Jenkins Abbott was leaving Jack Abbott. What sounded impossible at first quickly gained traction as more people claimed to have heard it directly from Diane herself. Some insisted she had already contacted a lawyer. Others swore she had packed her belongings and was preparing to move out of the Abbott mansion. And when Diane herself publicly declared that her marriage was over, even Jack's closest allies struggled to understand what was happening. But behind the heartbreaking announcement lay a dangerous secret. Diane wasn't ending her marriage. She was risking everything to save it. And at the center of the deception stood one man, Dr. Markham. An unexpected threat. For weeks, Jack and Diane had been investigating strange inconsistencies surrounding Dr. Markham's work. The respected physician had built a sterling reputation throughout Wisconsin and Illinois before quietly relocating his practice near Genoa City. At first, nobody questioned him. His credentials appeared flawless. His patients praised him. Even influential families trusted him. Yet Diane couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. The first red flag appeared when Nikki Newman received conflicting information regarding her treatment. The second came when medical records seemed to vanish. Then came the anonymous warning. Someone slipped an envelope beneath Diane's office door. Inside was a single photograph. Dr. Markham stood beside a woman who had supposedly disappeared years ago. On the back of the photo were 4 chilling words. "He's hiding something dangerous." Diane immediately brought the evidence to Jack. Together they began quietly digging. The deeper they looked, the darker the mystery became. And soon they realized Dr. Markham was watching them too. A dangerous discovery. Late one evening, Jack arrived home looking troubled. Diane found him sitting alone in the library. The expression on his face told her everything. He had learned something disturbing. "What is it?" Diane asked softly. Jack hesitated. Then he handed her a folder. Inside were financial records, private communications, and several confidential documents linking Dr. Markham to a network of suspicious shell companies. Diane's eyes widened. "This can't be real." "I verified it twice," Jack replied grimly. If these records are accurate, Markham has been laundering money for years. The implications were staggering. But before they could decide what to do, another complication emerged. Someone broke into the Abbott mansion. Nothing appeared stolen. Nothing appeared damaged. Yet a single message was left behind. A chess king lay on Jack's desk. Beside it sat a note. "Stop investigating." Diane felt a chill race down her spine. The warning wasn't subtle. Someone wanted them afraid. And it was working. Diane makes a decision. The following day, Diane met privately with Kyle. Her son immediately noticed her concern. "Mom, what's going on?" Diane forced a smile. "Everything's fine." Kyle wasn't convinced. "No, it isn't." After a long pause, Diane finally spoke. "How much do you trust me?" Kyle frowned. "With my life." "Then don't ask questions." That answer only increased his anxiety. But Diane couldn't reveal the truth. Not yet. Because she had already made a decision. If Dr. Markham believed the Abbotts were united, he would remain cautious. But if he believed Jack and Diane were falling apart, he might lower his guard. And that could give them the opportunity they desperately needed. The plan was risky. Perhaps too risky. Yet Diane saw no alternative. She would convince the doctor that her marriage had collapsed. Only then might he expose himself. The public bombshell. The first stage of Diane's scheme began at society. The restaurant buzzed with conversation as Genoa City's elite gathered for lunch. Phyllis Summers sat at the bar. Lauren Fenmore chatted with Michael Baldwin. Several Jabot executives occupied nearby tables. Perfect. Diane entered carrying a determined expression. She walked directly toward Lauren and Michael. "I need everyone to hear this," she announced. The room fell silent. Confused faces turned toward her. Then came the shock. "Jack and I are getting divorced." Gasps echoed throughout society. Lauren nearly dropped her coffee. Michael stared in disbelief. Even Phyllis looked stunned. "What?" Lauren exclaimed. Diane maintained her performance. "Our marriage is over." The words felt like knives. Every syllable hurt. But she continued. "We've reached the end." Questions exploded instantly. What happened? Why now? Could the marriage really be finished? Diane offered few details. She simply repeated that she and Jack were done. Then she left. Exactly as planned. Jack plays along. At Jabot, Jack soon faced an avalanche of questions. Executives cornered him. Friends demanded answers. Even Ashley called from Paris. Jack responded carefully. He knew the plan. Yet pretending to lose Diane proved more difficult than expected. When someone asked whether reconciliation remained possible, Jack lowered his eyes. "I don't think so." The sadness in his voice sounded genuine. Because part of it was. Every lie created distance between them. Every performance carried consequences. Still, he continued. The mission required sacrifice. Unfortunately, not everyone understood. Kyle's anger. Kyle confronted his father that evening. The younger Abbott stormed into Jack's office. "Tell me this isn't true." Jack sighed. "Kyle." "No." Kyle's voice cracked. "I want the truth." Jack hated deceiving his son. But revealing the operation could destroy everything. "I'm sorry." The answer only fueled Kyle's frustration. "You promised Mom was happy." Jack remained silent. Kyle shook his head. I can't believe this. As he walked away, Jack felt the weight of the deception growing heavier. Hurting Kyle had never been part of the plan. Yet collateral damage seemed unavoidable. Dr. Markham takes the bait. Meanwhile, Dr. Markham received news of the Abbott split. A smug smile appeared across his face. One of his associates sat across from him. It worked faster than expected. The associate nodded. You think the marriage is actually over? Markham leaned back. Absolutely. His confidence increased. For weeks he had worried about Jack and Diane's investigation. Now he believed their attention had shifted toward personal drama. Exactly what Diane hoped. The doctor began taking risks. Small ones at first. Then larger ones. And Diane quietly documented every mistake. A secret meeting. Several nights later, Diane arranged a private encounter with Dr. Markham. The meeting occurred at the athletic club. Far from Jack. Far from suspicion. At least that was the appearance. Markham arrived intrigued. Diane arrived prepared. You wanted to see me? He asked. She nodded. I'm trying to move on. The doctor studied her carefully. From Jack? A painful silence followed. Then Diane delivered the next piece of her performance. Jack and I are finished. Markham's eyes narrowed. You seem surprisingly calm. Maybe because I've accepted reality. The doctor appeared convinced. For the first time, Diane sensed his guard lowering. And that was precisely the opening she needed. Phyllis grows suspicious. Not everyone believed the story. Phyllis Summers noticed inconsistencies. The timing felt wrong. The details felt vague. Most importantly, Diane wasn't behaving like a woman whose marriage had collapsed. She was too controlled. Too strategic. Too careful. Phyllis shared her concerns with Nick. I think Diane's lying. Nick raised an eyebrow. About the divorce? Absolutely. What would she gain? Phyllis smiled. That's what I'm trying to figure out. For once, her instincts proved remarkably accurate. Unfortunately, her investigation threatened to expose the entire operation. Diane's biggest gamble. As the weeks progressed, Diane intensified the deception. She moved into a suite at the athletic club. She stopped appearing publicly with Jack. She even removed her wedding ring. Each action strengthened the illusion. Yet every step carried emotional consequences. One evening she sat alone staring at the ring. Tears filled her eyes. Jack quietly entered the room. For a moment neither spoke. Then he sat beside her. You okay? Diane laughed sadly. Not really. Jack took her hand. We're close. I know. But what if this destroys us before it saves us? Jack understood her fear. The lie had become exhausting. Friends questioned them. Family worried. Rumors spread daily. Still, turning back wasn't an option. Not anymore. We finish what we started, Jack said softly. Diane nodded. We finish it. Markham makes a fatal error. The breakthrough finally arrived during a late-night conversation.